Do you remember when video games used to ship with a paper manual filled with lore, tips and tricks? Either by way of cutting costs or as a genuine decision to go green, they started to disappear. And as the effects of climate change prompt a reduction in energy consumption and more increased urgency to cut greenhouse gas emissions by hitting net zero targets, every industry is facing some form of scrutiny about the impacts on the climate and the environment. My name is Alex, better known as See You Later Gaming, and today we'll be looking at the video game industry and the actions they're taking towards climate change. Like all online technologies, the global video game industry is a heavyweight greenhouse gas emitter, requiring a significant amount of energy to run powerful computers, high-speed internet, and cloud-based technologies. And whilst gaming can serve as an escape to the horrors of real life, it's also one of the largest contributors to one of our biggest fears. So much so, a study conducted by researchers at the University of California found that gaming worldwide now produces the same amount of energy as 5 million cars, with gaming consoles or computers also contributing to 50 million tons of electronic waste every year, of which only 20% is properly recycled. But what's being done to combat this? Sam Barrett, the United Nations Chief of Education for Youth and Advocacy, said, 3 billion people play games. Nearly one person in every two on the planet is either on their phone or on their console at home. And so we think working with this industry to make a difference can unlock all kinds of different changes in people. Inspired by his at the time 12-year-old son who spends a lot of time in games like Minecraft, FIFA, and Roblox. With the support of the United Nations, he helped co-create Playing for the Planet, a first-of-its-kind group of private video game sector organizations that have made commitments to help protect people and the planet. The program has backing from major names in the gaming industry such as Microsoft, Sony, and Ubisoft, as well as dozens of other well-known video game studios, estimating that 60% of its members are now committed to becoming net zero or carbon negative by 2030 at the latest. The Alliance aims to work with these companies on two fronts. First, reducing the carbon footprint of their industries, and second, harnessing the power of their platforms to include messages or steps they might take related to climate action. Since its launch in 2019, it's worked with over 40 companies and industry groups to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and plastic waste. A prime example of this being Football Manager 2020's Physical Edition, whose packaging consisted of recyclable shrink wrap, recycled cardboard packaging, and vegetable-based ink, with studio director Miles Jacobson joking that it's vegan in case he wanted a pro-gamer snack. The Playing for the Planet program also runs a Green Game Jam initiative which incorporates environmental messages into both small educational games and big-name franchises. Alenda Chang, an assistant professor of media studies at the University of California, Santa Barbara, and author of Playing Nature, Ecology and Video Games, said, "There's a lot of potential to use games to change how people think about the environment." And on the website gamesforchange.org, you can discover some of those games, like Alba, a wildlife adventure, a BAFTA award-winning open-world adventure game that focuses on exploring the world and conserving wildlife, as well as AAA titles like Horizon Forbidden West, where Aloy tries to save a future Earth from threats like a diseased land, hostile machines, and worsening weather conditions. And Anno 1800, which used in-game events to make players clean up pollution and build a new society without harvesting too many resources, both of which partnered with organizations to plant around 300,000 trees each. Whilst these are great initiatives and the consumer can play a pivotal role, game makers need to focus their efforts on making their titles less performance intensive, as well as hardware developers making supply chain amendments and switching to renewable energy sources. But with these solutions in mind, is it too late to change? Whilst we are behind, it's never too late to start chasing a neutral or negative carbon footprint, but it will take a lot of work from all parties, from producers to consumers and suppliers, to face this challenge head on. As the clock ticks towards 2030 and beyond, there is little else to do but try. So you've probably heard a lot about the metaverse recently.
The metaverse is a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity that's going to change the way...
We call this the metaverse. And you're going to be able to do almost anything you can imagine. Get together with friends and family, work, Learn, play, shop.
My name is Alex, better known as See You Later Gaming, and today we'll be looking at one of the earliest versions of what the metaverse could look like.